All right, so this is the funnest time of the year for me throughout the year when we go around and we get to check all the mating nukes. So this is the last round of mated queens that I'm doing here. It's late August. These cells or virgins were started, were placed in the mating nukes around the 1st of August. So we're now at about August 27th. So they've been in the mating nukes for more than 4 weeks now. One of the things I'm doing here too is I'm comparing queen cells with virgin queens. My last round of virgin queens went very well, and we're doing another round here. We did another round here with some cells and some virgins. So as I go throughout this video, I'll kind of tell you if I started it with a cell or with a virgin, and then we'll kind of determine, because a lot of people are afraid of using virgin queens, and I think that's not a good idea. You just need to be smart with how you do it and know how it works. So with the virgin queens, what we did is we would place them in their introduction cage, but we would cap the cover so nobody could eat through the candy, and then we would leave it in there for 4 or 5 days, go back into the colony, and we would destroy any and all the queen cells. By that time, they're very used to having that virgin in there. And then I'll look at the virgin every time the virgin is alive still and being fed. So I always find that to be a good thing. And then I'll just typically go ahead and just drop the virgin right in. You could candy release if you wanted to, it's no problem. But usually I will just drop the virgin right in there and let it go. So some of these got cells, some of these got virgins. As we go, I will tell you what got what, and we'll compare what did better, cells or virgins. One of the things that I do, though, if I use a cell, I will put the cell in 2 days before the queen's supposed to emerge, and then 2 days after the day that she was supposed to emerge, I'll go back in, just pop the top off and look at the queen cell. And usually you can tell very simply if the queen emerged from the cell or not. Usually the bottom will be open, like a queen typically chews through the bottom, comes on out. If I find a cell that doesn't seem right or doesn't look like the queen chewed out the bottom of that cell and came out, what I'll do is I'll pull it out and inspect it. And I will say that of all the cells I dropped in, I did have one queen cell that did not emerge. I pulled the queen cell, I opened it up and I looked, and there was still a larva in there that never formed, fully formed. And so in that case, what I did is I dropped the virgin in there, okay? So I'll explain to you when I run into that colony, and then we'll see if that virgin took or whatnot. But this is absolutely my funnest thing to do when it comes to bees, is checking for mated queens. We're gonna get them marked. These queens are all VSH queens from a VSH breeder queen that I have, and so at least the drones themselves will carry that VSH expression in these daughters. And that's all I'm trying to do, is get some of these drones out here mating with some of my other queens to sort of infiltrate the genetics with some VSH in them, okay? So that's the goal here today, and let's go take a peek, see how we did. All right, so we're going in our first mating nuke. So one good sign, they went through all the food. I like these cottage cheese containers. You just put a couple holes in them and you set them on top. Occasionally though, if there's a dearth, you get some leakage here and the bees will be all over this. You can create robbing with it, but you do have to feed your nukes, especially in August here in Michigan. We do have goldenrod now, so that's good, but we want to get these guys built up quick. So now we want to see if so this one got a queen cell on August 1st. Okay, so I like the fact that they went through the feed. Okay, I've put feed on these like 3 times now. That tells me that the colony is in a building mode. One thing I also look for, if you take a look at the entrance, I'm looking for pollen coming in. So whenever you're dealing with mating nukes and you got a significant amount of pollen coming in. And I just saw, just looking, 3 bees with pollen on them. That's always a really good sign and something you want to look at. All right, so last time I was in this mating nuke, these bees were not very nice. So they seem to be kind of frustrated with us. And let's see if we can get that pried up. And the other thing that kind of stinks this time of year is wonky comb. So you tend to end up with wonky comb. Not too bad here, actually, I'll say. I'm gonna quickly look, but I'm typically not gonna find my queen on a frame like that. Alright, that's more wonky comb. That's terrible. I hate that. Okay, there's my queen right there. She is in here. Now the question is, she doesn't look terribly mated right now, but I do see larvae in there. Yep, I do have larvae. So she just hasn't sized up yet. So she's still fairly small. And you know, this is one, if it were in July or June, I'd probably come back and try to look at her another, you know, in another couple weeks or so to see if she's sized up at all. But at this point, I'm just going to kind of let her go. And let's see if we got any cat brood at all. Yeah, we actually got a whole frame of cat brood. So she's definitely mated. You can see the cat brood in there. That's a really nice frame of cat brood. So we'll call her mated. So chalk one up for queen cells. So this is another one that was a queen cell. I actually had a couple of mating nukes from the previous round that were right next to this, and when I pulled all the frames out of them and moved the queens elsewhere, I had some straggler bees left in there, so I put a box of medium comb in there, and I set it right in its place. I let all the bees go in, and then I just combined it right on top of this. And there weren't that many bees, so I don't think it'll be a big deal. But we'll find out what we got here. So this box has been on here for maybe about a week at this point. This top box, and I know it was empty. Of course, I want to make sure I don't have a queen up here. One thing I did is I raised a lot more queens than I need. The problem is when you're really successful, then you've got the problem of what do you do with all these extra queens? And I always try to replace junk, or something I'm not happy with, or something that's old. Especially right now, being that I'm wanting to bring, you know, some VSH in. So, let's see what we got. Feeling pretty good about this one. But we're about to find out. Lots of pollen in here. That's pretty good to see. Yeah, this is completely pollen packed, that whole frame. which is excellent. Make sure I'm not pinching a queen or anything like that. Now they're deciding to get riled up a little. I think I see brood in here. Yep, I see brood. Yeah, there's a frame of cat brood right there. So, and then a bunch of larvae down here. Got some waggling going on right here. See that? She's telling the girls where you could find some resources. Yeah, that whole frame right there is cat brood. So, unless she's recently failed or something, she's... So here's a frame that they're drawing out. Don't really care for this much, a couple of queen cells, but you do find these stupid queen cells occasionally. They bother me a little bit. Anyway, that's got larvae in it the whole way. And there's my queen right there. More queen cells. Let's go ahead and she's got eggs and everything here, so she's good. Ooh, ants. All right, so this is the one that we put a queen cell in, and I came back, and the queen cell was a dud. And I did not have very many duds on this. I think I only had one actually in this last round. So this one on 8-9 I dropped a virgin queen in. Okay, so let's see what we got. A little smoke. Smoke out the back there too. I'll still check the wonky comb for eggs, but oh, there's actually my queen right there. So I don't see any eggs on here yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and put her in a cage real quick and check the rest of the colony. All right, so I've got larvae in here. As you can see, some different ages, a little sporadic is what it is, I'd call it. Yeah, this is much more uniform. A lot of eggs. Yeah, let's check the next frame in there. Yeah, this is completely full of larvae here, and even starting to cap some of it, you can see right there. So definitely, yeah, see that? And it's not a bunch of bullets either, so we know she's not a drone whale. So, all right, good, very good.